Hi, and thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Buzz. I'm your host, Brad, and we have numero uno, number one most special guestie. What's up, Dr. Jack Ringer? How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Brad. Good to be here. It's nice to hear your voice. So,
You
what are we going to
too.
talk about?
Well, I just want to preface this by saying, love you, buddy. For anyone listening, Jack is a salt of the earth, amazing human being. Anyone involved with AACD, I'm sure you know Jack. Jack's an incredible human being, one of my best friends, and love you, buddy. But we did a Buzz podcast years ago, and it's kind of one of those timeless episodes, man. We were in Scottsdale for something, I forget what, but I remember we stayed at the Gainey Ranch there, Hyatt Gainey Ranch, and then me, you, and PK, and a couple other friends. We filmed. Remember that? That was a great time, right?
That was awesome. I go to Scottsdale often during the year because I mentor out at Spear Education. So, I think you were there with another dental group. It may have been
Yeah, another
last
group.
year or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So, we just coordinated at the same time, and
That's right.
it was an epic time.
Okay, totally awesome. Talk to me about like Spear actually, and like you like your schedule, your lifestyle, your practice. It's so inspirational. But how long have you been involved with Spear? And obviously this is not like a plug or sponsored by Spear, although they're more than welcome to. But like, what's your take? How'd you get involved in Spear, and how important is it to you to have that type of community and mentorship and friends to support you on your journey?
Well, since I graduated as a dentist many years ago, back in those days, to get continue education and to stay up to date and relevant with what's going on in the world, you had to go to different meetings and listen to the people who were considered the leaders in the industry or the profession. And I went to one organization's meeting, the American Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry, and listened to Frank Spear talk. And his whole way of presenting to the audience, the way he connected, the way he had uh, delivered his information was resonated with me like no one else.
Hmm.
And so I kind of followed him over the years a little bit, and I don't mean by Facebook or any Instagram. We didn't have it back then. Um, and being a dentist who was, again, this is, I'm going back many years, but I got this cosmetic bug, and I realized I'm going to have to get educated in order to uh, provide this therapy for my patients in an upscale, high-end quality manner.
Mhm.
So I was taking all of these courses. And over the years, based on my development, I got into some lecturing and teaching, and spoke for some different companies. I mean, this took quite a few years, but this all materialized. And about 20 years ago or so, there was this center in Scottsdale called the Scottsdale Center of Dental Education or something like that back then, where a private entrepreneur decided to build a dental educational center. And they brought in a dentist, a well known dentist named Gordon Christensen,
Mhm.
uh, to be the dental side. And they launched that. And for whatever reason, it didn't, take off the way they wanted. And so then they decided to solicit Frank Spear. So he moved down, he has his practice or did have his practice in Seattle. And he came down and decided he would put on these lectures along with workshops. And by the way, for anybody who's listening, in dentistry today, the workshops are the one of the biggest draws and important things to gain continued education, because you can't do this online. You
Mhm.
just can't look at your two-dimensional phone. So you need to go to programs that offer hands-on workshops. So he developed this program at Spear, but in order for it to materialize, he needed help with his workshops. So he asked for 20 mentors around the country if they would come and help with that. And I was one of them.
Wow.
And I just, fell in love with the whole setup, the education, the networking with dentists, helping to teach people who haven't learned, or young guys coming out of school, or old guys who are sick and tired of dealing with insurance dentistry, and they're trying to get more into the fee for service quality end of dentistry. And plus, Scottsdale is just an hour away from Orange County, where I'm at. So it's also an excuse to have a little vacation a few times a year. So I've been doing that since they started. Um, and I will continue to do it until they kick me out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When was that they asked you to be one of those 20 mentors?
The year Frank Spear took on the program. So that's got to be at least, must be 15 years
Hmm.
ago, maybe?
It's
Something like
amazing. You just sent me that picture. You were with them a couple weeks ago in Arizona.
Yeah, so every year, what Spear Education has done is and one of the reasons they're so successful is they are very heavily involved, or have created member benefit for people who participate in the Spear program.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the things they do for those members who kind of subscribe to a thing called their faculty club. You're not really a teacher, it's kind of like a membership thing,
Hmm.
or people that are involved in their study club network. They put on an annual summit, a big 3-day extravaganza with lectures and amazing food and entertainment. And they don't charge anybody for this who are part of that. It's free.
Hmm.
And Frank Spear, he retired a while back. In fact, he sold his brand. He has really very little to do with the Spear facility anymore. But at the summit, he comes out and he puts on a couple of lectures, kind of inspirational type of lectures. So yeah, I saw him there because we go way back,
Yeah,
and that's why you had a picture of him and me.
that's great. You mentioned you like going to Spear because you get a couple vacations. It's an hour flight from John Wayne. That's easy.
Yeah.
You you all like every time I'm talking to you, even when I talked to you a couple days ago, you saw the Stones a couple weeks ago. Has that always been your kind of MO of like enjoying life? Because you obviously work hard, got a successful practice, but you're going to Vegas, you're going to LA, you're going here to see shows. Have you always been like that? Because I really find it inspiring.
Well, when we're young, our agendas are different. When I first got married and starting a practice, your agenda is more trying to prepare for the future, make sure your business starts taking off. But uh, when I was going through dental school, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Europe a bit because my father-in-law had a little villa and a yacht there. And the and again, living in the United States, but uh, my backstory, I was born in South Africa, but grew up in the States and then went back to South Africa to do dentistry. I got a taste of traveling a bit. Now, being young in the days when I first got married, I really couldn't afford to do a lot of stuff. But as time went by, I started to realize that what was more important for me in life were experiences rather than just stuff. Sure, everybody likes, guys like their cars and you want a nicer house and this and that, but you're never going to have more than everybody, so it's the competition of always getting bigger and better doesn't really, sit with me that well. I like my stuff, but having memories and experiences are the most important thing.
Yeah.
I've I have a philosophy in life that it's based on expectations and memories, because the present is over with in a minute, but you looking forward to that moment is fun. You're planning.
Yeah.
And then once it's done, you have these stories with your family or friends. So you're kind of reliving it.
Hmm.
So
I love
I'm
that. Expectations and memories. That's beautiful.
yeah, that's my mantra. Um, so for as long as I'm able to, I'm always looking for something to look forward to and do have an experience, because life passes us by so darn quickly,
You know.
and you can't unring the bell. You know,
Yeah.
many years, well, not many, about 15, 20 years ago, my dad and I and my brother went on a safari to South Africa. And, it was a really a memorable time. Besides, safari is the most amazing thing you'll ever do. But when I was on that trip, I was saying to myself, I don't want to wait until I'm 80 something, which my father was at that time or whatever, uh, to experience that with my kid. So since then, I've taken him on safari and took my sister. And last year, I had booked to take my son on safari again, actually to the see the migration, and then on to Dubai, which is also an amazing place. And 2 days before we were going to go, he got very sick with COVID,
I remember
so
that.
he couldn't go. So I ended up going by myself. But still, whether you have, I mean, he's okay, fortunately, and we'll do it again. In fact, I'm planning next year to do something with him with like the gorillas and Rwanda and stuff. But
Wow.
the point is, it's more stories and memories. Um, so yeah, I'm always looking for something. I've always been into rock and roll. In fact, the very first time I saw the Stones, who have always been my number one rock group, I was 16 years old living in San Diego. And then when my son was 16, I took him,
Mm.
and it was so surreal to sit there with him, looking at him and thinking, I was you when I first saw them. And then 25 years, well, I've taken him since then, but 25 years later, this last Wednesday, I took him again.
Mm.
So, uh, he's a 41-year-old man now. And, we're still enjoying going to the Stones together. So, yeah, it's all of these things, that hanging with you is
Yeah.
always a good memory, playing with your dog. And
Yeah.
so
In
that's
terms of, yeah, I love it, man. In terms of concerts, look, is there one concert that stands out that you're like, whoa, that, you've seen some great shows, the biggest names. So one that kind of stands out, like, whoa, that one really, really, they nailed it.
Yeah, the again, it's the Stones, but what happened was back in 1990, the Stones had gotten back together. They had broken up a bit for a while in the 80s, and they did a big world tour called the Steel Wheels Tour. And they came to the LA Coliseum, holds 100,000 people. And
Hmm.
in those days, you didn't have internet and online anything. You had to get your ticket by going to like Blockbuster and getting a wristband and waiting in line and this and that. Well, I didn't want to do all of that, but my hygienist back in those days said she'll go wait in line and get the tickets for me, which is very nice of her. She didn't even want to go.
Yeah.
So the next day on a Saturday, she went there, and when Blockbuster read off the first number in all of Southern California to choose tickets first, it was hers.
Wow.
So I got third row center at
Wow.
the Coliseum, and sitting behind me were people like Bruce Springsteen and all of these. So they were behind us.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was really memorable. But going through the years with some of these other people, yeah, they're all. It's amazing. I think you've seen in my office my little memorabilia nook.
Yeah. Your whole office is kind of like special like that.
Yeah, the Nook is getting so filled now. I don't know what to do with all of this stuff, all of these memories. But every time I walk by, I look at something there, and it just sends me back or transports me to a time, when I had that experience.
Everything in your office is amazing except the Anaheim Duck stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah, the good thing
kidding.
about the Ducks is that they can look down on the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah,
Wait, you saw a show at the Spear, right? Did you see you too? Was it you too?
yeah. I went and saw you too,
Yeah, they were amazing, huh?
and I saw the Spheres. Call it their resident show. It's called Postcards from the Earth, I think.
Okay.
It's kind of like California Adventures, Soaring California on steroids. It's really unbelievable. And I've booked to go to the Sphere again in September to see the Eagles there.
There should be like a monthly recurring dental conference in Vegas, like last
Probably
Friday
is.
and Saturday of every month. You just
Mhm.
show up and you're like, let's just go to the dental CEs, dinners. Like it's the most fun place. When it gets less than 120 degrees, we
Yeah,
should meet there, get the band back together, our band, and
yeah,
film a bunch of stuff in a suite and just go out for lamb choppers and see some shows.
totally. Do you remember? Again, this is pre-internet and online and all of that stuff. But back in the early 2000s or whatever, um, Bill Dorfman from Extreme Makeover.
That's how we met, dude.
Yes. Yeah, he recommended me to you.
Yeah. Love Bill. The best. Yeah.
He put on every year a big symposium in Vegas on Memorial Day weekend
Did
called
he
the Extravaganza.
did he really?
Yeah,
How
so
did he not sell that? And that's not recurring.
that was great. And then
We
you
should
know,
get that going. We text Bill and say, when are you bringing back the extravaganza?
yeah, well, those are the days when he was, the partner
Extreme
with
Maker.
dental
Oh,
and,
Zoom. Yeah.
and all of that. So it was a different world for him then.
That
These
guy's a legend too, man.
sure is. And meetings have changed. It's not like it used to be. They're much smaller now. And it's all because of online education. And it's a message that I hope can resonate with people who listen to this, the young
Yeah.
people, or even the old one, is that they got to get away from two-dimensional education and go to meetings, study clubs, whatever, to network, have that interaction. It will help you on so many levels, professionally, socially, emotionally,
Yeah.
rather than sitting on your phone pulling up somebody's YouTube thing on how to, you know, do root canals or whatever the case may be.
Well,
It's just
AACD,
yeah,
you're a past president, accredited fellow. Speaking of just great vibes and good conferences, like AACD is clearly at the top of the list. Um, just so anyone listening doesn't know, or first off, anyone who's listening who's not an AACD member, that alone is a no-brainer, even if you paid them just so you could use their logo as a trust signal on your website and be listed on their directory, like for just organic searches for cosmetic dentistry. That alone is worth the annual fee. But if you have a chance, next year's in San Diego, let me just say it's San Diego, not San Diego, San Diego. You've seen Anchorman, right? With Will Ferrell? San
I,
Diego. Yeah, San Diego. Clearly, obviously, you're going to AACD. Regardless of my involvement, if any at all, we're going to AACD. And if all we do is hang out and go for dinners and laugh, we'll see you there. But
yeah,
give us your Cliff Notes version on how epic AACD is, and maybe, we don't need a dissertation on the accreditation process, but clearly there are offices out there. One of my friends is going through the process now, and she's a total rock star who's going to be president one day. I can tell you that.
who's that?
Well, I'll tell you offline.
Oh,
But you met her at the last conference. She's a total rock star. But what would be your take on anyone listening who wants to do more cosmetic dentistry? Would you recommend joining AACD? And then also, what's up with accreditation? And do you, another question let me pose also, do you think AI is going to impact the accreditation process in terms of people submitting these cases and all this AI nonsense out there.
Okay, so in our world today, because of corporate dentistry, a dentist who's just doing restorative dentistry, he or she has to create some sort of niche to separate them from everybody else. Otherwise, they're just going to be a cog in this massive wheel of corporate dentistry.
Hmm.
So dentists historically who wanted to set themselves apart would get a specialty. They would do perio, oral surgery, or whatever, have more of a referral-based type of practice. The ones in restorative dentistry who wanted to do that would do a prosthodontic course and, become a specialist in that regard. Well, in the aesthetic world, you don't need to go into do a 2-year residency in pros to be recognized as if you want to call it a specialist in cosmetic dentistry. You just have to demonstrate to your peers that you have the training and you've proven it. And the AACD has set up an accreditation process to actually evaluate that from a dentist skill and experience level. So in the AACD, it's an educational organization. So they teach you all of this stuff at their annual meeting. They have tons of workshops. A couple of years ago, I was the chair of the meeting, and my committee set up 42 workshops in a
Awesome.
3-day period for the members. And again, like I said earlier, workshops is what draws people to meetings. It's not sitting in an audience listening to somebody talk when you can do that on a phone or an iPad. So the AACD has these great workshops, plus they have for decades been known as putting on one of the most exciting, enjoyable, entertaining meetings with their social programs, the food, etc. You've been to a few, you know that.
Oh, I've been a bunch. Yeah, I mean, great entrepreneurial energy from the members,
Yeah.
super uplifting vibes. It's like everyone there is like trying to be the best clinician they can. They're trying the new technology. They're innovative with their marketing. It's an amazing conference.
And not only that, when you're there as a member, new or old, everybody is very, very accommodating and friendly, and
Yeah.
uh, it's in every group you find a few people who are kind of cliquish and their nose up in the air, but as a whole with the AACD, going from the president down, they're not standing on any type of pedestal where they're unapproachable. So you have the opportunity to network with these people. That's another thing, like with Spear, is also there you get to network, which is really important.
Yeah.
So anyways, I got into cosmetics a gazillion years ago when it was new, but I needed to set myself apart. And also, I wanted to have some sort of barometer that would tell me or show me if I am equal, better, worse than my peers. So I
Mm.
decided to go through the accreditation process, which people don't realize that it changes not just how you practice. You look at dentistry so much differently when you're looking at your patients. You see things you never saw before.
Mm.
And on top of that, uh, people are becoming a little bit more savvy. And like you had mentioned, there's a directory on the AACD website, and it's done on a hierarchy basis. So if you're, say, in Boston, Massachusetts, and you Google cosmetic dentists not Google, you go to the AACD website to their directory and you look for cosmetic dentists in Boston, it's going to list the fellows first and then the accredited, then the people who are going through the process all the way down to a general member.
Hmm.
So needless to say, if you're accredited or fellowed, you're going to get the lion's share of the people looking for a dentist. So from a business perspective, it's huge.
Yeah.
I
Plus,
would
it's
say
great. It's like an achievable, tangible,
process.
aspirational goal where, like a lot of things in life or business or dentistry, it's kind of like, drill and fill, or it's hard to,
Yeah.
it's almost like the great thing about sports is, the goal is to win tonight's game or to win the championship. And
Right.
I know you don't know what a championship is because you're a Ducks fan, but that's a different story. I'm kidding. You guys do. You won it like a
Yes,
while
we
ago
did
there.
win it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I do love the Ducks. That's
Yeah,
the best thing. One of the greatest joys ever is going to a game with you. Really
yeah,
is.
back at you, buddy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So no, AACD, dude, it's great stuff, man. It's great stuff. And the real quick thing about I want to let you finish, but the AEI is really interesting now. But I wonder how that works because the accreditation process is literally, do you mail in pictures or email in the
okay,
pictures? How does
so
that
the
work?
way the process works, and it's incredibly specific. Okay, in other words, they don't make exceptions. It's a strict examination process. The process to get accredited is very challenging, but it is not unreachable. It's most people who go through it and just follow the guidelines that the AACD are looking for
Mhm.
will get through it no problem. It's mainly about case selection, choosing the right cases, and just following the requirements that they're looking for. The AACD is motivated to get as many people accredited as possible. It's not like a boys club, they're trying to keep people out, but they're not going to lower the standard. So they're looking for excellence, not perfection. Um, so the way that the bulk of the examination process is done is you submit photographs, a very specific series of photographs based on specific dentistry they're looking for you to perform. And in order to prevent people from editing, photoshopping, trying to cheat, this and that, everything is submitted in what's known as a raw format on a camera. Okay, so the 35 millimeter digital cameras
Mm.
take a picture in RAW, which basically is just the zeros and ones. It's just the raw data of the image. And if you edit 1 pixel on a raw film, on a raw file, you can't save it as raw again. So the candidates have to send in a raw picture because they are viewed with a software called Raw Viewer.
Love it.
Um, and that way, we know when we're examining people that the picture they took is exactly what that was at the time. There's no editing.
Good. So you can't say go into Mid-Journey and say, make me a tooth that's perfect. Okay. Love
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
accreditation stays the same. I just wanted to make sure on that.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
yeah, yeah. So the ACD has made it really easy over the years for the candidate to go through the whole logistics of the process. They've set up mentor programs. We've just instituted a new program at AACD called Dojo, where you pay a fee and you get your own personal like mentor as such to teach you tons of stuff on aesthetic dentistry. Or you can just be assigned a mentor that'll help you through the accreditation process. Um, the they're just trying to make it that your only main focus should you just be sitting down and doing your dentistry, not having to worry about how to take a picture or how to send a file. Or they make that part really easy. In the old days, it was really a pain in the ass because you had to submit with slides before
Mhm.
they went with digital, and it became so discouraging going through the process. A lot of people said, I don't want to go deal with all of this crap. Once they went digital and started making the process much more seamless, the only thing you had to worry about is choosing the right patient and doing your dentistry. And
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
and it makes once you become accredited, your listeners should know in your neighborhood, your competition are not going to be dentists. Your competition becomes Mercedes.
Exactly.
The people with the dispensable income are going to be coming to you. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Speaking of good ideas,
yeah.
I'm on the AACD.com website right now, and I'm just noticing the first time they have the flexible format study club. Wasn't this your idea?
Yeah, kind of. The ESS, the Aesthetic
Yeah.
Skills Studio.
Didn't you encourage them to do the study club?
Yeah, so for years, the AACD had what's known as an affiliate network. So they had about 35 of these in person clubs around the country.
AACD was great.
Yeah, and they were relatively independent, and their success was based on the leaderships of those individual affiliates. But as the dental landscape changed and things were going virtual, most all of those dissolved. But the importance of having something else to keep engaged with the AACD during the year was imperative. Okay, not
Mm.
just for the viability of the AACD, but for the benefit of the members. So a few years back, I proposed them to actually copy the Spear model of their study club. And so we presented this to the board, and they came up with a hybrid version of that. And it's called the Aesthetic Skills uh, Studio. So it is a virtual study club. It's not in person, but um, the where they made it interesting is you go on like a webinar with 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 other people. And, with those type of webinars, it's very hard to interact. So what they did then is they created study club groups. So a study club leader, I have one of those. I'm a leader of one of them. They would be assigned to say 8 of the members, and at the end of the virtual lecture, you'd break off into your own virtual like study club room.
Hmm.
How you can interact personally, because it's easy to talk one-on-one, just like you and I are talking one-on-one. If we had 4 or 5 other people on this call, it'd be very easy to do,
Right.
particularly if there's video. So far it's working pretty darn good. We've only started it this year. We've had I think 4 or 5 of the meetings so far. In fact, we have one tomorrow night. Next year I'm lecturing on one of them.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's something else to keep people engaged, give them another avenue to have education and network and meet, uh, and to stay out of our little bubbles that we become hooked in our practices, and you don't see anything in the outside world. So this is all very cool stuff. Yeah.
You're the best, man. You're the best. You're so involved. You're so passionate about what you do. I just want to mention also, your team has always been great, but your team is extraordinary. It's so fun coming to the office to visit. I even think it'd be fun if you weren't there, if you are for lunch. Not as fun, obviously, buddy, but you're just the energy at the office is great. And obviously that stems from you, the leader, but what you
Yeah.
do on a daily basis and your patients, oh my goodness, the feedback from your patients, just your self-awareness, your vibe, everything, man. I love you, buddy. I mean, you're just literally
Thanks.
no words, man. You're just the best. Freaking love you.
Love you too,
And
man.
just every time I talk to you, I feel better and I'm always uplifted and inspired. And I mean, what can I say? I mean, having a dinner with you is the greatest gift. I mean, you're the best. Um,
Dude, back at you, but my head is swelling so much now, I don't think I get through the door. Uh,
why? Oh, because I
man,
just said that. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. No,
good.
man. Yeah, I know. Well, last time we had dinner, was it at was it the place
But
the place? Red O. Anyone listening, it's called Red O, right? There's
yeah,
this, so Rick Bayless, where I'm at right now, actually, Rick Bayless is a famous chef from Chicago, does great Mexican food, but he has a restaurant called Red O. The one Jack and I ate at was the one in Newport Beach. It's kind of our thing. We go there and have a hilarious dinner on a Saturday night usually. But they're all over the place. I think they're opening up one in Westlake, and so I don't know. Obviously everyone's spread out, but if there's one in your city, Red O is. They got all three. They got ambiance, food, and service.
yeah. And you can bring an amazing dog like Marcus there.
Marcus and Amadeus used to go with us, and yeah, man, the dog. By the way, like dog friendly anything is such a good idea.
Yeah,
Dog friendly anything. There's these places on like Uber. Oh my gosh, remember Lazy Dog Cafe? You
yeah.
took me there for the first time. I order from there all the time.
Wow,
because they have a dog menu. You know that.
it's crazy.
They have literally they have meals for the dog. They have chicken, rice and vegetables, or steak, rice and vegetables. It's so smart. And I've seen a couple other restaurants do it, but the way they do it, it's so smart. And it's really a smart business decision too, because how many people, right, Jack, will like decide to order from there because they want to make their dog happy that night, right?
Yeah,
Like, I don't care. Like, feed me give me a veggie burger or sushi. Do I care if it's from this restaurant? But if there's something that I could order for the Marcus, and I know he's going to be running around because he's getting steak tonight. So I don't know. It's a great lesson also, like to add something so unique at the practice, to have something. I know you're not going to be selling dog food, everyone listening, but like something there where it's like it's such a talking point. It's such a no-brainer. It's so unique. It's so different. And people are like, wow, like this feels great. This is right, So that's just my thing. I think it's not only good food and good vibes in that place, but it's brilliant business. It's so smart what they do. So
yeah. Saying that, let me just finish with one thing with you because I know you want to go.
no, I'm good,
Uh,
dude.
is when you're saying something like that, and with our practices, etc. And again, it was a word I learned from Spear 30 years ago, and it has stayed with me forever. And I incorporate it, and as much as I can everywhere, is the word experience. And I don't mean having experience, I mean providing the experience. So I like to make sure when my patients are in my practice, it
Hmm.
is a unique experience. My staff, it's a good experience for them to be here. My experience, it's all about that word, and I incorporate it daily.
Hmm.
It sets you apart, makes your life that much more pleasurable, and
Yeah.
everyone around you.
Yeah. Yeah. The patient experience at your practice is tremendous. We live in the experience economy. I mean, that's what it's about. Like they're expecting and hoping for clinical excellence, right? But like that
Yes.
whole experience and the laughter, the comfort, the calmness, all that type of stuff. And every team should create their own unique vibes and experience. And I love your stuff you have up on the walls and the picture from, the animals smiling from your safaris and all that stuff is so unique.
Yeah.
And it just, every practice and experience needs to be different. And, one of my favorite pieces of content that I've ever been a part of is your top 10 video. Jack has a video where he just goes through his top 10 favorite things to do in Orange County. And like, you got the Ducks game, Angels, going to the gym, movies, and then obviously spending time with family. And well, that's number one, but doing dentistry for their amazing patients is two. And anyone listening who's looking for a video to film, copy genius. Jack's video has been repurposed and reshared and chopped up into micrograms and pieces for I don't even know, 8 years, 10 years now, however long ago we filmed that, dude. But it's a top 10 video. And Jack's is just looking at camera, kind of documentary style, talking about his top 10 favorite things. And it's, countdown 10 to 1. And we use some stock footage, B-roll while Jack's talking. I love it. It's solid. But anyone listening, you could also do this, and like each team member could take a number, right? And like you could do a couple, right? So it's like kind of switches it up with people. But it's the perfect piece of content because you're not selling dentistry. You're showing personality. It's fun, engaging, and you're sharing your passion for clinical excellence, but you're not asking people to book a cleaning, right? So it's a beautiful piece of content, and that thing has sat on your homepage. A lot of things have changed on your website. That thing has just stayed embedded since we literally uploaded it. So it's great
Yeah.
stuff, man. And plus, I love watching that too. I show that sometimes during presentations. It's such a great video, man, because when you talk about the dogs, you're beaming. When you talk about the ducks, it's a little depressing, but everything else is uplifting.
Yeah, and in our waiting room we have a big TV, a thing called that we got through Dear Doctor.
All
So
right.
it's all these different video loops, and you can upload your own.
Yeah.
So we have all of that on that in our waiting room as well. So yeah, we repurpose it as much as we can.
And I just say anyone listening, because this is a marketing podcast, and you can check out Jack's Instagram. It's amazing. So, and this is all kudos to Jack's and the team. Regardless if you have one person or an agency doing your marketing, coming up with like fresh, unique content on a regular basis is so important because all your other stuff will pop more. So if you look, like Jack sends in content from CE courses, lunches with the team from the place next door. And like, we then tag Reunion Bar and Grill on social media. So, Jack's doing all this fun stuff, going to concerts, going to CEs, traveling to Spear. That is part of Jack's social media campaign. So I encourage anyone listening, I'm sure you're doing a lot of fun stuff, hopefully too, especially over the summer. Document that stuff. That could be quality content for your social media. You're not selling dentistry, you're showing personality and you're sharing your passions. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to connect with most people is your personality, your passion, and the team vibes at your practice.
Totally agree with you.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's been fun talking to you, man.
It's been great, man. Jack, buddy, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you, talking to you some more.
Yeah.
Hope everybody took something away from this that'll help them or enjoyed it. And I look forward to doing this again with you, man.
You too, buddy. I love you. You guys, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Buzz. If you follow some of the inspiration that Jack Ringer shared today, you'll without question have more joy, success, but most importantly, you'll be a wizard of buzz.
Create stunning commercials in minutes. With Waymark high-performance video templates, now anyone can make premium videos fast. To start your first month for free, please visit waymark.com/dental.